Well, if you've seen any of my videos, you've most likely seen me in here, in my shop here. Because this is where I record most of the videos and do finishing work, whereas I do cutting outside. And I'll show that in a little bit. But this is my workshop. I designed and built this shop not too long ago. It was quite interesting to be part of the process of building from start to finish and really design each part of it, like where the windows should go, the pitch of the roof, whether to have exposed beams or not. And I decided to really make this a finished space, to make it really feel like a nice room. Basically, the construction of this building here is really simple. It has simple 2x4 walls and 2x6 ceilings and floor. So this was also the first house I built, and I really enjoyed it. I would like to build another one because it was really fun. It only took about 6 weeks to get the structure up. Then it took a little longer to do all the interior stuff. But and that was all done in the summer, and we got the roof on just in time before the rains came. In fact, I actually just finished this space relatively recently, where I did the electrical work and put on sheetrock and put in the floor and stained everything and painted. So that's all pretty new. When constructing this house, I had certain limitations to go by. It couldn't be bigger than 200 square feet. So this is 12 by 16, which is about the same size of a one-car garage. Entering the shop, come in through this door, and on the right side here I have a blackboard and a whiteboard. I also have a fire extinguisher, and this is really handy. This is a little hand vacuum, so that it's easy to keep things neat. Now to this counter here. This is actually made out of mahogany, and I got a really good deal on mahogany, and I thought it'd be really cool actually to use as a counter here. So these are two boards that have been laminated together and then polyurethane, but actually I added a stain on here too to get it even darker in color. You might notice here that this is not finished yet. It still needs fronts here, faces and hardware, but I built this with the concept that I wanted to keep paint cans and stuff like that inside here. So they are quite deep, the drawers, so that they can handle gallon-sized cans. When building this, I also wanted to make sure that I had like 2 drawers, like go-to drawers for anything that is important and you want to keep, on handy. Also, another thing that I have in here, Lego, and organized Lego. So the counter here is like 16 inches, but I wanted the cabinets on the wall here, the open shelving, to be even more shallow, so they are like 9 inches. And this was actually just built with cheap plywood that I cut up, and then face framing was done with the framing lumber. So all really simple. And I designed it like this because I wanted to make sure that I had shelves that were high enough to be able to hold the drills. Up here we got some camera lenses for doing video and things like that. But this shelf here too, I like that it is shallow, because then nothing gets hidden behind here, but there's still space to keep gallon jars. I also have oils and solvents and things like that up here, and I like that I can just see it. So lots of finishing products over here. Like for example here I have a lot of paints that have already been diluted and ready for spray painting with an HVLP spray gun. As well as plaster of Paris and calcium hydroxide and grout and various things like that, which are fun to use for finishing and for making your own chalk paint and milk paint and things like that. When thinking about this space, I obviously wanted to keep my nicest tools visible so I could see them. Planers here have I built these small narrow shelves that fit them perfectly. They were built with that in mind, of putting these things here. And with these little pigments here too, also have this little tiny shelf, because that way they don't get lost anywhere. I knew when building this house that I wanted to have shelving on this wall. So I actually put OSB, extra OSB on this wall before putting the drywall on here, so that I could nail in anywhere. And that's been really useful. I put these strips on top of the counter here and over here, so it's really easy to find, to plug things in. And that brings me to my hot plate and my slow cooker. And these I use for finishing products, heating up oils and waxes and things like that. And this is actually wax in here right now. This is completely solid. I can turn them into, form them and put them into little 2-ounce portions here, which are a lot easier to work with. than a huge block. For example, the wax in there is, came from this block, which I use half of this block here. I actually bought this beeswax at my local farmer's market, so from a local farmer in the area. So that's kind of cool. Here I have things that relate more to finishing, measuring cups, Pyrex dishes, and things like that. Here we have another wall that has more of my favorite things on them, easy to be able to see. Another blender. Brad nailer, a tenon saw and a dovetail saw. And I think they're so nice. I think they're nice to be able to see them here. And here, my little engineering squares. And I just love these. I think they're so cute. Here I have a couple of clamps. And as you can see, I don't have a ton of clamps. I have a couple more outside, but I just don't have a lot of clamps. And here you come to my wood storage area. And again, you can see that here is another example of how small this space is. It's not very big, so I don't have a lot of wood storage in here. Well, we can see my photography lights here. That's one thing about this space, is that I wanted to make sure that it was bright enough to work, but also, bright enough to film. And after thinking about different options, I realized that photography lights are really pretty great because they provide so much light. And instead of having them on stands on the floor that takes up a lot of space and get in the way, I decided to attach them to the beams here. And I can easily take these down, so it's not like they're stuck up there forever, and I can put them back on the stands. But this way, they're up here and they're out of the way. And I just really like them because they provide, so much lighting for filming, but also for projects, so you see what you're doing. I want it to be a creative space to do some woodworking and work on projects on this bench, but also have a space where I can relax and come out and do work and think about things. So here's my little table with a tablecloth that I made and printed, and we just like to come out here and have a glass of wine and talk and brainstorm and come up with marketing ideas and things like that, and it's a really nice spot. These floors were made out of 2x6 tongue and groove spruce. It was the first time I put down a real floor like this, and it was interesting. And after that, I stained them and polyurethaned them with an oil polyurethane. The color here with the mahogany red is picked up again in the counter, in the beams, and even on the desk here. So this is a bit like more of an office kind of corner here, where I have a desk, and I built this with hemlock boards. So these are hemlock that's laminated together, has a lacquer finish on it and wax on top of that. And I really like this desk, and for the legs here, this is just framing lumber, again, that has been stained. And I really do like the contrast. And at first I wanted to make this like a nice little office corner where I could come out and watch YouTube videos and work. I would like to bring the printer out here as well. So then I decided to make a little printer stand, which is more like a file cabinet where I have paper and ink and hard drives and things like that. So I spent a lot of time building built-ins in my home. So I have a lot of bookcases in my home, but I collect books. But I also wanted to bring some books in here because I like having access to some of my favorite books, and it just looks nice too. So here I have some of my favorite ones, and this shelf right here I actually supported with a rope, which was fun to make. And so it has 3 connections with the rope, one there and one there and one in the middle. And I also have my fine woodworking magazines here, which are fun to bring out and look at and have easy access to. The bottom line is, this is a small space that I tried to use really well. It rains a lot here in the Northwest. So while I have my power tools out in the carport, which is not exactly ideal because, they are protected but not completely protected from moisture and wind-driven rain, but it's just nice to have a clean space that's completely protected from the elements to come in here and work on things. One thing about this space though is that it's a little cold in the winter because there is no heat. There's electricity, but there's no heat. So now we're at the carport, which is part of the shop, because this is where I have a lot of the tools. Now, when we first moved in here a couple of years ago, there was nothing here. It was just completely open. So I built this wall with the leftover fence boards. On the inside here, I have my router table on top here, and lots of storage here. Holds my circular saw, some tiles, different cases of nails, some more tiles, because tiles are fun, and just, sandpaper, caulk, and various knickknacks. Sanders, just a lot of different storage. And since this was all built out of cedar, I didn't really need to paint in here because it's still quite protected from the environment, which is nice. So this is my contractor's table saw. I built this to help support the wood, and it's really cool. It's really awesome because it makes it so much easier to use. In here's my planer, and this is on a stand that I built, and the planer is bolted down to the table, which is on casters, so it's really easy to move around and bring into the shed to protect it. So I built this table specifically to hold the miter saw. So the miter saw is bolted down into this table here, so it's really sturdy. Because I wanted a really long table so that you could have long boards. I also made matching benches that go on each side. Well, that was a tour. I hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, it's not a very big space, but I try to use it in the best possible way. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Darbin Orvar. I try to put up videos each week, so please subscribe. And if you haven't heard, I started a new channel about movies, so I'll leave a link below for that. Thanks for watching.